What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through my updated draft for Game Week 1. So since I released my first draft video, I think I've created 1 or 2 more drafts, but I know there are those of you out there that are creating drafts every single day. That's 100% fine, as long as you guys are still having fun. But don't worry, this draft will still have some seriousness to, as I mentioned, only 1 or 2 more drafts that I have created. I'm not simply throwing out drafts for days. Now what I want to mention about this draft is that I took a lot of insight from the video series that we created this midweek, which was the underpriced series. So I took the top 5 most underpriced options from each position, from goalkeepers to forwards, and we managed to uncover some gems. That was obviously based on how underpriced these options are this Premier League season, as well as the potential for their points per 90 minutes. Now we'll be expanding on that series as the preseason does go on, so make sure those bell notifications are on so that you guys don't miss a video. But as mentioned, my updated draft, let's go over it. So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going on to the actual updated draft, while you guys are here, you can become a member if you want to support the channel, or follow me over on Twitter. If you guys do choose to become a member, you'll get one-on-one access. I'll do all your draft reviews over my Discord server. But don't worry, if you guys don't want to become a member, there are still some free channels to communicate. You guys can also post your first drafts in the comments down below. I'll try and reply to every single comment, so if you want your draft review, drop it down in the comments below. Always like to see what you guys are dealing with. But going on to my actual team, and as I've said throughout this kind of preseason, don't worry if you guys haven't nailed down a certain draft. We still have about a month to go, so don't go crazy making drafts right now, as you're going to run out of fuel come that Game Week 1 deadline. Also added to that, don't get too attached to any drafts. If there's a player that comes up in preseason that you really want in your team, you should be able to destroy your entire formation to get that one player. I'm expecting some exciting players to emerge from the preseason. The example I keep on thinking about is just imagine the Liverpool attacker that has a great preseason. Whether it's Darwin, a Gakpo, even a Jota newly as a midfielder, imagine they have a great preseason and you guys want them for Game Week 1. I think that at least will give us something to think about in terms of formation, so I'm looking forward to it. Now in terms of my updated draft, you guys can see on screen a 3-4-3 formation, a switch up from the 5 in midfield that's been pretty popular this preseason. As mentioned, I took a lot of insight from the videos I created a few days ago, so you guys will see I've added them to my draft. Now in terms of the money spent, on the right hand side, 0.0 left in the bank, so no money was spared, and the majority of it goes into the starting 11. The reason for that is obviously our bench is still pretty cheap. Looking at it right now, you guys will see I still have some bench options that haven't been filled in, but I'm not fully satisfied with the options at the current moment. Either there's no options at the current moment, or I want a preseason to kind of analyze whether these options will actually start at their cheap price points. There's a 4.0 goalkeeper that has emerged though that he could potentially play for West Ham, and that's Areola at 4.0 million. So yes, you guys could go for the kind of replacement goalkeeper of whatever your first team is, but Areola might offer some rotation pace. So he's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. If you guys watch the template draft, you'll see that he's pretty popular owned, so straight into my bench. Then you have my favorite kind of option, Botman at 4.5. Now I might want to go for a Brentford kind of defender, but you guys will see why I haven't in my starting 11. So Botman provides a nice option, is quite template at 4.5 million, and I have got a little bit cold on Tyrone Mings now that Aston Villa just signed Pau Torres. Then here we go into a position that I haven't really nailed down yet. It's the 4.5 mids. I want to see in preseason it actually starts. All I want is a 4.5 mid that starts every game. Is that too much to ask for? So hopefully one emerges throughout preseason, might come from the newly promoted sides, but fingers crossed we actually get one. Same can be said about a 4.0 defender. Right now I went with Brentford from Everton, just came back from loan, looks like a sensible centre back, so you actually could get some minutes. Other than that though, you guys could go for Bell, the popular 4.0, but I'm not too keen on him at the moment. So very cheap bench. Obviously we've had to invest some more money in our bench because of the kind of midfielder position, but I'm still pretty happy with the starting 11. So going on to that starting 11, and I've gone for Flecken at 4.5, the Brentford replacement goalkeeper. This is obviously banking on the news that Raya might depart the club, and therefore his replacement is 4.5. Now there are a few other 4.5s that I was looking at. Dean Henderson, I want some more insight into actually if he's going to be fit for the start of the season, because if you guys watch my goalkeeper review video, you'll know that Dean Henderson has the best points per 90 minutes. But if Flecken can replicate the form that Raya showed over these previous seasons, we're in for an absolute gem at 4.5. Now going into our backline department, and this draft still allows me to get Trent Alexander-Arnold. Kind of the flavor of this week was the no Trent draft. Everyone had him in the first draft, but then kind of ditched him, as well as Mo Salah. So it might have been his new haircut, or his old haircut, whatever you guys want to call it, but the hype for me was still maintained, even though he costs 8.0 million. Now we'll be going over some future talking points about why Trent is overpriced or underpriced, and is he actually worth it at 8.0? I believe so at the current moment, and in terms of other defenders, I'm not too hot on them, so why not go for the best defender in the game? Now, I know Liverpool's fixtures aren't that great at the beginning, but he can haul against anyone, and if they shore up that defense quite sensibly, the clean sheets would hopefully start flowing back. Now, the rest of our department is pretty kind of tempered. I've gone for Gabriel as my 5.0 Arsenal defender of choice. I believe that you guys should probably go for an Arsenal defender, unless you're going for the triple attack. I think an Arsenal defender is quite sensible, especially when they do come in at the cheap price point. You guys will know on the defender kind of review video, most of the Arsenal defenders are quite underpriced. Now, you guys can go for Zinchenko if you want to, but I prefer Gabriel, but I've seen some people also go for Saliba. Now, I guess if you had to compare going for Gabriel or going for maybe a Ramsdale goal, I do prefer Gabriel's attacking threat, as I think that does offset the save points from Ramsdale. Then our final defender, the most template one of the selection, over 50% owned, it's going to be a Stupinan from Brighton. Now, Brighton's fixtures speak for themselves at the start of the season, has attacking threat, has a defensive threat, straight into my team and hasn't left it. So in terms of our back three, pretty template, but I have seen a lot of people actually ditch Trent this week. Let me know in the comments down below, are you one of the Trent ditches or are you still sticking with Team Trent? I just picture him scoring a free kick against Chelsea in Game Week 1, and that scares me not to own him. Now, moving into midfield department, and the mids this season are quite underpriced. You would have seen that in the video. I've gone for Rashford at 9.0 million. I've seen people go for Bruno, but I do prefer Rashford, even though he is 0.5 more expensive. Now, United did kick off their preseason this week, didn't see Rashford getting any minutes, but you expect him to come back fairly shortly. Now, in terms of the United fixtures, I am not as bullish as I think other people are, but I still believe United should do pretty well. I think that's the thing that it kind of comes down to, is that United might not score the most goals, but Rashford should probably be involved in everything they do. So that's why I believe he's worth 9.0, but if you guys don't, Bruno's a nice replacement. Speaking about kind of 8.5 mids that are underpriced, I think that Bukayo Saka has to be in your team, or at least going for Martinelli or Odegaard, but I still prefer Saka from an FPL point of view. So one of the most underpriced players in my opinion at 8.5 million, straight into my side, almost a no-brainer. Next up is me and Boomer at 6.5, now very dependent of course if he's going to start up front or at least start as a forward position without Ivan turning that forward line. Now there is quite a big debate in terms of my kind of starting 11, and you guys will see actually doubled up on this kind of a Brentford attack, is how Brentford perform without Ivan Toney. I believe that they are quite a systematic team, so they should theoretically do quite well, but saying that, Ivan Toney is a massive miss. So let's see if Mbeumo can kind of fill the shoes of Ivan Toney. I'm willing to bet on it. Now, final midfielder to go over, just spoken about the fact that I'm not that bullish on these United fixtures. Well, I'll still be going for them as I'll double it up on that midfield department. So you guys can see Bruno Fernandes at 8.5 million, and the reason he's in my team, wasn't expecting him to be in my team, but I had 8.5 to spend, and at his price bracket, it's a no-brainer. So yes, in the short term, maybe a Foden or Maddison outperforms him, but at the current moment, as a long hold, I think Bruno's a must-have. So another option that was kind of underpriced by FPL in my opinion, but the big thing about Bruno is that his XG and XA last season, he was severely underperforming them, so if he can maintain an average rate, he should have an absolute crack of a season. So that's why even the United fixtures aren't that great. The fact that he's so underpriced made me want to go for him, so here we are. Now, kind of how I thought about this midfield department, and the reason I'm fine with going with 4 is that the 5th midfielder might be a little bit of a contentious point. Do you go for Phil Foden? Do you go for Maddison? Do you go for Matoma? I'm not exactly 100% on any of those options, and that's why I've got everyone I want in my midfield. But you guys can leave in the comments down below, if you had to go for a 4 in midfield, would it be different to mine? Would you maybe downgrade Trent, bring in a Foden instead of an Mbeumo? That could also be something I do. Now finally going to our forward department, and no explanations about the first player, it's El Capitano, it's going to be Erling Haaland at 14.0. So still, I believe, even though he is overpriced at his price point, if you're going to captain him every single week, massive value can still be had. If you guys saw the forward video, you know that his points per 90 minutes is simply outrageous, so go watch that video if you guys don't have Erling Haaland. So I put the Campsy armband on him already a month in advance because I do still believe he'll be my captain come game week 1. Then the next option hasn't left my team as well. It's Gabriel Jesus at 8.0. You guys could stretch that to an Odegaard at 8.5. Martinelli might be a great option, but I do still prefer Jesus for the versatility. If he doesn't end up performing, maybe gets benched 1 or 2 times, could go for a Liverpool attacker or go for Nkunku from Chelsea. So I like the team structure with having him in my team, and I do still believe he's got good stats behind him, and I think Arsenal have great fixtures as well. Now the final option is going to be the controversial one, and I can just see the comments. I was getting roasted for my best team or most optimal team that was made by math, so imagine the decisions that I actually make by myself. So my final forward to go over is going to be Visa from Brentford at 6.0 million. You guys can't go wrong with his price tag, super cheap. I mean, if you guys are looking at Calvert-Lewin, Visa might be a better replacement as long as he does start in that Ivan Toney position. So what I've kind of done here is I've hedged my bets. I've gone for Mbeumo and Visa, hope that one of them starts up front, one of them starts out wide, but we're going to tell that over this preseason. So please make sure that you guys watch the preseason games, especially for Brentford. I want to see how their formation is setting up, as I do expect Visa and Mbeumo to be up front. The current thinking of some people is that Visa will play up front and then Mbeumo on the right wing, which I'll be fine with at their price points. We saw it in the video this week that Visa has great points per 90 minutes, even though he didn't start every game, was still considered underpriced, and that's why I'm going for him at his cheap price point. But you guys, as I said, can roast me in the comments down below if you don't agree with me, but please just remember, this is a draft for now. I want to see what happens in preseason, and then I'll make a more informed decision. So let me know what your thoughts are on this draft in the comments down below. Do you like the 3-4-3 formation? I'm going back to the old, as I always say, FIFA formation, but I still really like this draft. Drop your drafts in the comments down below. I'll do a draft review in the future videos, and also give you guys some pointers if I see any major red flags. Otherwise, as mentioned, become a member of the channel if you want to chat to me one-on-one, or follow me over on Twitter at Dayvy FPL or my Discord server, where I'm slightly more active. But this is basically a wrap of the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you didn't subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. More drafts coming up, more content coming up over this preseason, so make sure those bell notifications are turned on. But I'm going to sign off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.